Hello everybody. Bithaven here. We're going to be trying something new today. So, I came up with this fun idea for a stream, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. It is called Learning by Burning, and everything will be fine because we're going to learn from it. So, for those of you who know me, I am a big fan of the Try Hack Me platform, and we will be using this today for our first burn. Now, for those of you who don't have access to maybe some sort of a higher licensing tier in Try Hack Me, this is their tabletop exercises. And what we will be doing today is we will be burning the world with really, really poor choices. But it's okay, because we will be learning from it and everything will be fine. So, let's see. You know, Iranian is pretty big in the world, but so is Scattered Spider. So I think we're going to go with Scattered Spider today. And it'll take a little bit to generate this tabletop, but it's pretty quick. Oh, I don't know if anybody can join me here. We're just going to start. Yep, I'm the only one here, and it will be fine, because we are going to ruin everything. Hopefully you all have made it through the week okay and are enjoying a nice Friday evening. I appreciate you joining us here. Alright, for those of you who aren't familiar with a tabletop, basically what it is it's a scenario for defenders to be able to more or less practice what would happen in a really terrible situation. So here's the narrative. It's a typical Wednesday morning in the heart of your busy financial services operation. The data centers are humming along as usual, with teams preparing for the day's trading activities. Around 9:15 a.m., your monitoring systems detect an unusual spike in traffic from an unknown IP address interacting with your internet-facing web application infrastructure. This coincides with reports from the help desk about several users experiencing login issues from temporary lockouts. Shortly afterwards, you identify unusual activity triggering alerts for your account that are normally inactive at this hour, accompanied by attempts to access restricted directories. As you begin to investigate, you notice that the web servers are experiencing slightly elevated memory usage without an increase in authorized user load. Logs indicate a sequence of repetitive access requests targeting multiple endpoints within your application. At this stage, the source and intent of the activities are unclear, prompting closer scrutiny from your team. So, that is our story, and here is an artifact of what some of these logs look like. So we have a source and a destination IP. We can see like it's a post to an API endpoint, and this API endpoint is a login. So for those of you who aren't familiar with web pages, there's different structures in web pages, so different directories and different API endpoints. So this would be your typical like, hey, I just came to a website and I'm going to log in. The username is unknown. It's using our normal HTTPS protocol. And you can see like the user agent string, which is what your web browser uses. And it says multiple attempts. Here's another different API endpoint looking for documents. And this temp lock user 3. So, see a whole bunch of stuff happening. So, beginning with triage. How would you triage this event? And remember, we're learning by burning, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fine. So, what are our options? We're going to conduct an internal impact assessment and notify team leads in relevant departments to begin heightened monitoring, focusing only on internal communication channels for now. Or let's classify the incident as suspicious activity. Oh, shoot, I didn't realize we had a timer up there. That's kind of annoying. Well, it's okay. We're going to take a while to choose stuff. All right. due to anomalies in web application activity, but do not escalate to external parties, instead focusing on reviewing login logs internally. Prepare an initial report indicating a minor security event, addressing it as an isolated incident without significant risk. Notify the CISO and CTO immediately. Or we could escalate the incident to the board of directors instantly, given the apparent targeting of sensitive operations. I mean, hell yeah, let's go. Let's report to the board of directors. Yep, and we lost points. So we chose the least effective choice, which is fine because we are going to be burning everything. So, I mean, obviously it wasn't a very effective decision. I think TryHackMe's being a little kind with some of their feedback on the actions taken. So, I mean, obviously you wouldn't really want to get anybody involved this early, because what if it's absolutely nothing? What if it's a vulnerability scan? What if it's just something really, really silly that could be solved with a reboot? And if you go ahead and get everybody up in arms, you might look like you have a little egg on your face. Something like that. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Let's just pretend that we escalated to the board of directors, which, to be honest, I wouldn't even know how to get a hold of. But if you have your board of directors on speed dial, congratulations, you've just notified them of a suspicious, incident. All right, let's move on to the next phase. All right, so we still have the same initial access prompt. We are looking at a -10. And so what will we do to detect and investigate this incident? Well, I guess I really shouldn't call it an incident because we don't know what's happening. But what would you do to investigate further at this stage? Engage in a risk assessment of all user credentials utilized during the suspicious activities to prioritize investigation. It might be a less direct approach, but useful if other options are unfeasible. What about conduct a detailed log analysis of all user activities across the affected web applications to identify patterns? We could perform a thorough review of access logs. We can initiate a network traffic analysis for abnormal patterns. Or we could survey recent alerts and correlate them with unusual activities to pinpoint potential false positives that need to be dismissed. Honestly, I'm trying to figure out which would be the most awful of all of these. I mean, I feel like anything that says all users' activities, all user credentials utilized during suspicious activities. I'm torn between E and B. Because honestly, conducting a detailed log analysis of all users' activities would be kind of terrible. But I also like the idea of just trying to make this a false positive. So let's go with option E. All right, I'm glad I picked the least I picked the least effective one again. So we're at a -20. So surveying recent alerts to pinpoint potential false positives is somewhat effective, but focusing solely on dismissing alerts may delay more comprehensive detection actions. And unfortunately, this is a real problem when it comes to cyber operations, is a lot of the times if you don't have a proper way to tune out detections, sometimes your first line defense folks will get what's called alert fatigue. And I mean, everybody has a bad day. Everybody doesn't want to go to work. Trying to find the this is nothing in the, thick of it all. Yeah. But this is why we're doing it. I don't know. So we've already escalated to the board of directors, and now we're all of a sudden thinking it's a false positive. So you can see we're kind of a train wreck right now. which is amazing. Oh, it looks like there was a narrative update. Let's see. I don't know if I really see an update to the narrative. Anyways, we're on a containment and eradication point right now. So how would you attempt to contain and eradicate the threat? And these are always fun because sometimes there's real nuclear options here. So we would engage a broad block on the external IP addresses identified in the logs to prevent further unauthorized access. Apply host-based intrusion prevention system rules to specifically flagged systems to quickly mitigate any detected malicious processes. Conduct a comprehensive session termination procedure for affected users. Deploy temporary firewall rules to restrict network traffic from specific endpoints. Immediately disable the specific user accounts showing specific activity to prevent any unauthorized access. You know, I never thought that with the series, trying to choose the worst option would be so difficult. Because a lot of these could have potential impacts to your business. And I want to create all the potential impacts to your business right now. So what do you think? I wonder what these IP addresses actually are. Like this source IP. I wonder if it's like something like a VirusTotal might identify. So let's search. Because it'd be awesome if it was like Azure. This is kind of boring. Testnet. Boo. See, if it was something super generic like an Azure or a Microsoft based block, it'd be really funny to block it, because then you could take down a whole bunch of other things such as like email or Active Directory if you host in the cloud and all this fun stuff. So I don't know, guys. What do you think is the worst one? I feel like applying hips might break things. So I think that might be the worst option. Let's see. It was somewhat effective, which is still a lower negative point. So I knew I should have gone with my gut on the broad block of external IP addresses. So we still lost some points. We're doing good, guys. We're doing good. So applying HIPS rules to flag systems is somewhat effective containment strategy, but it may not directly address the top immediate threat since it relies on predefined rules and past insights, which is true. You can deploy a tool, and if you don't tune it, you could either cause things to break, or it would be completely ineffective. You spend all this money for a tool and you don't tune it. So let's see what else. Deploying temporary firewall rules can effectively limit suspicious traffic. Session termination offers real-time containment. So yeah, so that's what the best option was disable the specific user accounts, because I mean at the end of the day, unless it's like, I don't know, somebody's compromised a service account that is used everywhere, it's the best option. But we're not going for the best options. All right, now we're looking at phase 4, which is recovery. So we've alerted the board of directors, we've decided it's a false positive, and we deployed HIPS to hopefully break some stuff. So we're doing amazing at this burn down, guys. All right. What recovery actions would you take at this stage? So, if you guys don't know, we're already kind of going through the different chain of an incident. So pay attention to these phase titles up here. So we would implement a controlled restart of key services on affected systems, ensuring that no remnants of malicious processes remain operational post-removal. Document the HIPS intervention steps taken and consult system states. Coordinate with IT to roll out security patches to all impacted systems. Reevaluate user access permissions, confirming that only the authorized levels are restored. And conduct a system integrity check on all previously affected endpoints. I honestly think that this one is a little bit easier to choose. So we're going to go with option C, because as much as applying security patches is a good practice, like in the middle of an incident here, let's see the results first. I don't agree with that one. So, patching is a good idea with systems that are clean, because at the end of the day, a patch could break a system, and what you're doing is you're addressing extra change to an asset. And like it even says in the choice, like addressing any vulnerabilities, even if they weren't directly involved in the breach. So it would make no sense to patch an asset on a vulnerability that's not involved whatsoever. I feel like I failed you guys on this one, and here I was talking a big thing about like how this one was really, really easy. So the one that would have actually burned more would have been document the HIPS intervention steps taken and resultant system states, prioritize detailed records for compliance purposes over immediate system integrity checks. So I guess if you're just documenting instead of actually doing any kind of recovery, I could see why that would be the least effective. So coordinating the rollout of security patches is a positive form of long-term protection, which is kind of what I mentioned. It's good when your systems are healthy. It's good when you're able to test in lower environments and make sure nothing breaks on the business side, but it may not address immediate recovery needs following HIPS rule application. So this is kind of cool where it actually kind of adapted after we had put HIPS in place. While this enhances system defenses against future vulnerabilities, conducting system integrity checks and confirming that all malicious components have been removed ensures that the immediate threat is no longer active. So that's not fun. Like I'm hoping for a low score. I'm going for the bottom, guys. All right, escalation. So, what escalation is required at this stage? Well, I mean, we already escalated the board of directors, so I don't know if there's anything else we could possibly do. But I see, just at a glance, I see some C-suite, I see a CEO, I see a CISO, so let's look through the options. So, prepare a detailed briefing for the executive team, including CEO, to inform them of the potential business risks based on current findings. How about we involve the legal department to assess any preliminary regulatory or compliance issues? We can engage cybersecurity consultants for an immediate second opinion, which, don't get me started on cybersecurity consultants. Like, paying, like, having an IR retainer, an incident response retainer, in the back pocket is always a good thing, but like, this is what you pay your people for. Like, your people can get it. They got it. Report the incident to local law enforcement as a precaution due to the nature of failed access attempts. Or we could notify the CISO of the potential breach for oversight and engagement. I think what's going to be the worst is bringing in local law enforcement, because like no real proof of a crime has been committed just yet. And it's just due to the nature of the failed access attempts. Could you imagine if we called the police every single attempt at a DDoS? Like, we're going to go with that one. Yes. So, like I suspected, that was the least effective one. And again, so like, yes, computer crimes are a thing. Like, sometimes you do have to get law enforcement involved, but like, again, the nature of failed access attempts. Let's like pretend we go to a police station and we go up to whatever desk and we ask, like, I need to file a police report. And they're like, okay, like, what's the crime? Somebody has failed to log in to our systems. I don't think you're going very far with that one. So, reporting the incident to local law enforcement at this stage may be premature given the current evidence and nature of the activities, which could be best addressed internally first. Yes, and honestly, it wouldn't be anybody fixing things, pulling the levers, hands on keyboard, who would be the ones to interact with law enforcement. That's better off a call for your C-suite. So, more immediate actions such as notifying the CISO or preparing a briefing for the executive team might provide timely, insightful assessments. And honestly, I don't even know if you would start getting your CEO involved in this sort of stuff. Maybe your CISO, more likely it would just stay within the security or technology groups for now. But again, we don't care. Board of directors is involved, law enforcement is involved. We are doing great. All right, sweet. So we're at a minus 35 and we're a third of the way through. So we have a new inject. So like for those of you who aren't familiar with tabletops, injects are like throwing a curveball in the story. So these typically happen throughout, the course of a tabletop, just to try to like if you're feeling a bit too comfortable, if you think things are going a bit too predictable. Injects are great because they get people thinking about things where, hey, maybe they haven't thought of this angle. I mean, what happens if your incident responder just leaves and starts a rock band? Like, what do you do? So, like, those are examples of injects. So, following the initial signs of unauthorized access, your monitoring system alerts you to unusual behavior occurring within your network. Oh no, that was just a false positive. It's okay. Over the past hour, you notice increased traffic between several internal servers that typically do not communicate. One of the system flagged as a file server that, based on patterns of activity, now appears to be accessing volumes of data beyond its normally permitted scope. Simultaneously, an administrator account with higher level privileges has suddenly gained access to restricted areas of your human resource systems, seemingly conducting operations beyond the normal user's normal duties. This convergence of events raises suspicions as neither account discrepancies nor unexpected data queries should happen under normal circumstances. The timing of these action prompts concern about unauthorized privilege escalation and lateral movement, necessitating a closer examination of these anomalies. Alright, so we got some more stuff down here in these artifacts. So we have a couple servers, an internal server going to a file server. So you see the network spikes that we talked about. It was using a service account. And then we see this admin account. Looks like it was targeting this HR system, which seems a little sketchy. Or maybe not. I'm sure like Admin Joe accesses this HR system all the time. And is allowed to write the things, maybe you got a promotion. We don't know. And then we have this workstation, which is going to this database. Select star from sensitive data. I mean, we need to be able to pull sensitive data and make sure it's okay, right? So how would we triage this event? Escalate the issue to incident response team immediately. Classify the situation as a high priority incident involving potential data compromise. Mark the case for inclusion in the next security review. Designate the suspicious activities as noteworthy for internal review, or log this as a moderate security anomaly and task the on-duty analyst with continuous monitoring and gathering any correlating information before escalation. I don't know. I think I think it's normal for there to be network traffic spikes. I mean, that's a file server. It's a server to a server. And like I said, maybe admin Doe, he got a promotion, so now he can read and write. Maybe he's now a database admin, and he's allowed to query this stuff. So we can save it for the next security review. I'm waiting for the AI feedback to yell at me and tell me I'm such an idiot. Alright, so choosing to defer action until the next routine security review is the least effective here, which, I mean, we kind of knew. Like, putting it off is probably a bad idea, as the potential for privilege escalation and lateral movement suggests an ongoing security incident that requires immediate attention. This decision could result in missed opportunities to contain or mitigate potential damage promptly. More effective approaches include classifying the activity as a high-priority incident, or like notifying your incident response commander. We can see over here, this was the best one, but we really picked the best one for what we're going for. I don't know, it's a false positive. We didn't think there was any need for it to be immediately addressed, even though we have the board of directors and the local police involved. This is fine. This is fine. Actually, where's my this is fine guy? I feel like I need to add that in here. Can I do that on the fly? I think I can. Oh, no, that's the fire. Nope, we don't want that. Close enough. Anyways, so let's move on to the detection and investigation phase. So what would you do to investigate further at this stage? Evaluate the timing and origin of query executions against databases to pinpoint potentially linked unauthorized access. Conduct a thorough endpoint analysis on systems showing unusual data access to identify any dropped payloads or unauthorized scripts. Review recent administrative account changes to verify procedural adherence and identify potential unwanted access abuse. Survey cloud service logs for unexpected access or API usages that might correlate with the observed internal anomalies. Like what? I feel like when I say like what is probably going to be like my choice. Perform detailed analysis of network logs to trace the path and scale of lateral movements from the initially compromised system. I don't remember seeing anything about cloud service logs, so I think we're gonna go with this one. Yeesh. There we go. So, like I kind of mentioned on the other screen, there was no mention of cloud service logs. So it's kind of like your house is on fire, but you're afraid of your neighbor's car being parked across the street from your house. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So, surveying cloud service logs for unexpected access or API use can provide useful insights, but it may not address the primary source of lateral movement and privilege escalation occurring internally. While this step has some value in broadening the scope, more immediate and impactful actions include performing detailed network log analysis to trace lateral movement or reviewing administrative account changes to identify potential unauthorized access. So what I like about Try Hack Me is they try to be very, very positive. They're like, there's some value in broadening the scope. I would disagree on that, but I appreciate Try Hack Me trying to make me not feel like an idiot. But we're going for low score today anyways. So what else was evaluate the timing and origin of query executions would have been another good one to choose for burning everything to the ground. I could see, does, Mr. Doe query stuff often? That might be another good one. But what they really wanted to see was perform detailed analysis of network logs to trace the path and scale of lateral movements, because you're going to want to contain that. You want to make sure that folks aren't, moving all throughout your network and potentially getting to even more sensitive servers, more sensitive data. But maybe we can go add to our police report about cloud service logs. So, next phase. Containment and eradication. How would you attempt to contain and eradicate the threat? Modify Active Directory group policies to temporarily restrict administrative access across sensitive systems. I kind of like that one. Conduct a pop-up network packet inspection session to identify malicious communication that should be blocked. That's another terrible one too. Immediately disable compromised and potentially exploited user accounts involved in unauthorized access to halt further misuse. Isolated affected systems from the network to prevent any further lateral movement or data exfiltration attempts. Block access from user endpoints exhibiting unauthorized data queries pending a comprehensive review and verification of clearance. So, typically, it depends on the asset. Isolating stuff can be a useful tool, but I think honestly, like, modifying like Active Directory group policies, especially when it comes to like administrative action, like that's kind of a terrible choice. But so is like popping up a network packet inspection. Like could you imagine running Wireshark on like a single asset and then going like, okay, like let me see if I can identify anything malicious. I've never felt such pressure to choose the bad choice. I don't know. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's modify Active Directory, because that's a terrible thing. Okay, well, they think that's moderately effective, and I will disagree. So, in my opinion, modifying Active Directory groups, like, it's kind of like a bigger deal unless you're, like, really granularly structured in Active Directory, and especially when you're trying to contain an incident. If you, like, restrict admin access to systems, like, you might, like, cut down on your ability to actually contain the incident. But let's see what they say. Modifying Active Directory group policies to restrict administrative access can effectively limit unauthorized control, but may not immediately deter an ongoing access attempt by the attackers. So the least effective one would have been block access from user endpoints. Which, yeah, I guess if you're just shutting everybody down and you delay it with a comprehensive review, like, yeah, I guess that's time consuming, but like it's a false positive, so like we don't really care about all this stuff, right? Next phase. All right, what would we do about recovery? Perform individualized security briefings for affected users to reinforce best practice and boost awareness post-incident. Prepare a comprehensive report detailing the containment and recovery steps. Implement a period of enhanced monitoring and logging for re-enabled administration access. Conduct a thorough audit of all modified group policies and restore only those necessary, ensuring no extraneous permissions are reapplied. So I wonder if this one popped up because we chose modifying group policies. And then reevaluate and restore user access levels to align with current security policies. So I think option A is going to be our longest and most terrible one, because I couldn't imagine going to everybody at my company and go like, hey, how are you? Hey, by the way, you might want to secure your stuff. So I think this one's terrible. So let's go with that one. Damn it. I'm not doing so good. And by not doing so good, I mean I'm still doing bad, but I'm not doing as terrible as I thought I would be doing. But I guess this is our first stream, so that's okay. Like, we might not burn everything to the ground, but we're doing a pretty good job at burning a little bit of stuff to the ground. So they said prepare a comprehensive report detailing the containment and recovery steps taken for internal review, potentially guiding future policy adaptations as the least effective one. The most effective was conduct a thorough audit of all modified group policies and restore only those necessary. And again, like, I'm kind of curious if this one only popped up and was bumped to the top because of our previous actions, because I believe we saw that before too with another choice we did. So, conducting security briefings for affected users to promote awareness is a moderately effective action. It strengthens user practices and contributes to preventing future incidents, but doesn't directly ensure that recovery from containment actions addresses residual vulnerabilities. See, that's what I thought was like the worst choice, because it really doesn't do anything to assist recovery. So I will disagree, but I guess preparing a comprehensive report also does not enhance recovery at all either. I guess I should talk about the best choice. So they said prioritizing direct validation of systemic configurations and permissions while combining awareness sessions is a supplementary measure to enhance security culture. We want to audit the modified group policies. Assuming that's just because we touched them, though. Next phase. What escalation is required at this stage? Can we go to the news yet? Because I feel like between the board of directors, the police, did we engage the CISO yet? I don't think we have. All right, so the options are engage CISO to lead an executive briefing on the potential impacts, preparing strategies aligned with business continuity and risk management, notify the legal departments to review compliance obligations related to the data anomaly and potential unauthorized access to sensitive systems, provide a detailed incident report to a company-wide department heads to update on ongoing progress and raise awareness for internal policy reviews, contact external cybersecurity consultants to provide an in-depth assessment of current vulnerabilities and suggest advanced containment strategies, or E, report the concern to government regulatory bodies as preliminary information considering potential large-scale ramifications without solid evidence of a breach. Of course, we got to tell the government. Especially considering, like, we don't have solid evidence of a breach. So let's show those results. -10, big money. So, yep, we reported to the government without any solid evidence of a breach. You guys do not want to do this. You do not want to get the government involved. You do not want to get regulatory bodies involved. Like, that is nuclear option 0, and your management will be extremely pissed off at you for contacting them. So, reporting concerns to government regulatory bodies without conclusive evidence of a breach can result in premature escalation, potentially leading to unnecessary scrutiny and resource allocation. So, again, like, you call in the government and they're like, well, number one with this, if you don't have evidence of a breach, they're going to question your practices to begin with. And they could tell you to do a whole bunch of stuff that you don't want to spend the budget on. So, best practice would have been engage the CISO. Honestly, like your CISO or like your first line risk officer or somebody with a fancy C title that is like actually designated to talk to regulatory bodies. They should be the only ones contacting them. So do not engage with regulatory bodies. Okay, I think that was my most confident answer, yes. My most confident answer in burning things to the ground. So, I mean, this is fun. I should really be keeping a list. I think I'm doing a pretty good job of keeping a list of all the parties involved now. So board of directors, police, regulatory bodies, and I don't even think we actually like have contacted like our CISO or our chief technology officer or even our CEO. So it's absolutely hilarious that we're like going through all these outside bodies. And could you imagine like the CEO of your company getting a call and going like, hey, like this is I don't know, like Department of Financial Services. We hear you got a breach over there. And like the CEO is just like, what? So next inject. All right, so we are 2/3 of the way through. So goal of execution. The security alerts become more persistent and concerning as you notice several unusual activities across your network. Over the past few hours, there have been a significant export of sensitive customer data. Oh no. From your internal databases to an external IP address that doesn't match any of your trusted partners. I'm sure it's fine. Reviewing logs confirmed the earlier suspicions. The attacker has been exploiting lateral movements and escalating privileges to access critical data repositories. I think that's fake news. Anyways, the transfer speed and volume suggest an automated dump of customer records, indicating a targeted and planned data exfiltration effort. An account with escalated privileges executes scripts that bypass unusual security checks, aligning with the pattern seen in systems compromised earlier. This series of actions underscores the attacker's objective: unauthorized data exfiltration aimed at breaching confidentiality and exploiting customer data. Whew. All this is a mouthful. So, let's see what the artifacts are. Okay, I wonder if this IP is anything super sketchy. Let's go back to VirusTotal. One of these days they're gonna have like a really oh my god, this is bad. Nah, it's still private. Okay, that's boring. So, we've got this IP. They exported 15 gigs. Bulk data extract v2.sh. So this is like a shell script extension, which is what they were talking about with the automation dump. 15 gigs is quite a bit, but also like knowing how a lot of companies run, uploading data takes a long time. So if you don't stop, that's kind of silly. We also have an SSH process going in. So here's your internal server going to attacker server with an automated script. So here's all the accounts and all that fun stuff, but I'm sure it's fine. You know, there's no saying that this attacker server isn't actually like a company we've paid. Who knows? So, alright. So how would you triage this event? Register the anomaly as requiring swift internal review and coordination. That sounds boring. Classifying the incident as a significant security alert, advising all department heads of the potential business impacts. Determine the activity as a high priority security incident and convene an emergency meeting. Classify the incident as a critical data breach, immediately notifying executive leadership and engaging with public relations team. Or log the current activity under normal operations, but highlight the need for ongoing vigilance and regular updates to security policy review sessions. I don't know, guys. I don't think this is that bad. I mean, like we had an admin account earlier. Maybe I think he was just like all this data must be from his select star statement that he made on the database, right? Let's just log that as current normal operations. Yeah, let's go. I've never been so happy to see such a terrible score. So, obviously, we would not want to log this under normal operations as much as, yes, we definitely want that here on learning by burning. So obviously, if we log this as normal operations, more data could be exfiltrated and more chaos could be created, which is terrible when you're actually in that moment. But otherwise, yeah, let's not do that. So the most effective would have been classifying an incident as a critical data breach, immediately notifying executive leadership and engaging with the public relations team. So now, finally, you want to involve executive leadership. Nobody in your company should ever talk to the public unless it is your public relations team or anyone with explicit authorization to talk to the public. There have been many situations where data breaches or potential ransomware attacks or other hacks have been poorly mishandled by folks who weren't properly cleared to talk to the public or release a statement, or even really rushed statements have turned around and bitten people in the butt before. I think Oracle was one of those most recent ones where they're nobody breached our cloud, and then a whole bunch of data wound up on the dark web, and they're well, actually, and they lost a lot of trust in public relations, and I probably should be Googling that before I'm just putting Oracle on blast. So Oracle data breach. Yeah, okay. So I'm not just bashing a company. So yeah, they there was a lawsuit about it stuff too. So this is just again, learning by burning. So they made a really, really terrible choice and they learned from it. FAFO? Next phase. All right, we're almost there. So we're in phase 2, detect and investigation. What would you do to investigate further at this stage? Conduct a detailed forensic analysis of recent network traffic logs to pinpoint the precise timeline and scope of data outflow to external IP addresses. Review recent login and user credential changes for indicators of additional unauthorized access during data export timelines. Initiate a cross-reference analysis of database access logs with data transfer timestamps. Implement a correlation check between internal anomaly logs and newly identified external IP address to map out connections. Or examine endpoint activity logs for unusual scripts or processes initiated concurrently with observed data export incidences. So not gonna lie, like, you ever have those moments where you're reading out loud, but like your brain isn't fully comprehending what's going on? I just had one of those. So I might need to like reread these through a little bit more. Like, which one do you guys think is the most terrible option? Because, I mean, honestly, at this point though, can it really get any worse? Let's see. I feel like this one's terrible. Like, you already are dealing with like a bleeding incident. Conduct a detailed forensic analysis of forensic logs. Let's see. I think I'm gonna go with this one. I mean, like, why are you focusing on like other like logins and user credential changes? Yeah, let's go with that one. Nah. Freak. Alright, well, we got our first effective one. And again, I will disagree because, you know, you've already lost the data. Like, you don't need any more, like, user credential changes and stuff like that. So the worst option was examine endpoint activity logs for unusual scripts or processes initiated concurrently with the observed data export instance. So what do they have to say about this one? Again, they're being positive. While beneficial, focusing solely on user access may miss broader patterns of coordinated data movement. So that's why like this one was the most effective one, is because you kind of want to figure out when and where, at what time that data started leaving and when the outflow happened, especially because like you might have a chance of stopping further outflow to the external IP addresses. But man, I'm kind of bummed we got an effective. Like I'm really kind of bummed out about that one. We're still doing good on the burn though, but I was kind of hoping for a negative 100. We could still get there. We can still get there. But again, so let's see. What else is bad? Implement a correlation check between internal anomaly logs and newly identified external IP address threats to map out potential connections. So this one was also ranked as kind of bad because trying to correlate all that data and internal anomaly logs, like, I feel like that's like more high-tech stuff. Like, I've never even actually heard of like that. I mean, you might have like internal anomaly like detections built out, just like from correlating data, but it's not like hey, this is a suspicious activity, and therefore we're going to log it. Like, there's no big repository of anomalous data. So we're going to go on to the next phase. Can you guys tell how defeated I am? I'm really bummed out of that one. Alright, how would you attempt to contain and eradicate the threat? Disable network access for any nodes communicating with unauthorized external IPs, particularly those involved in recent data transfers. Revoke permissions and reset credentials for all accounts involved in the suspicious activities, ensuring they cannot attempt further unauthorized access. Execute firewall rule adjustments to limit all outbound traffic temporarily until a secure assessment of normal operations can be conducted. I kind of like that answer. Enforce a complete shutdown inspection of compromised systems, ensuring they are removed from the network to eliminate all malicious endpoints. Or initiate an internal network segmentation process to isolate compromised segments, preventing lateral movement that could lead to further data loss. So I wonder if this like means like just come up with the actual process or like implement the process. But I think limiting all outbound traffic is a bad one. I think we're gonna go with this option. Yeah. Okay, we're back into the big red. Big red is what we're going for. So I don't know if you guys could take some guesses as to why this might be bad. So, could you imagine if you are trying to contain an incident and then all of a sudden you no longer have access to a whole bunch of your tools? There are so many security tools nowadays that rely on cloud-based systems. So if you're blocking all traffic outbound temporarily, you've more or less just screwed yourself. Like, you can't access some of your tools. You can't access like Google. Like, what do I do in this situation? Or like, what is the phone number for this company? Which you should probably have in all your internal processes. But I'm super sad now that like we can't go to like the regulator's website and like look to see what we should be doing better and where we should drop an email to them. So this would be a bad choice here. But the best choice would have been disable network access for any nodes communicating with unauthorized external IPs, particularly those involved in recent data transfer. And that might kind of sound like, well, you're still blocking things. Yeah, but when it comes to like, okay, you should have allow list processes for like authorized external IPs. For example, your security tools. You don't want to block those, but any unauthorized external IPs, we're going to do that. So yeah, adjusting firewall rules to limit all outbound traffic can be somewhat effective containment measures. However, it might not directly address compromised account activities or nuances of pinpoint systems involved in the data transfer. Yeah, and I guess that's another angle too. So like, are you limiting just like all, like every single port? Like, okay, like you can't access the web via HTTPS, but you also can't SSH out the door. So I think what they were trying to say is like, hey, like it's good to adjust your firewall to block certain things as a containment measure, but you don't want to do everything. But here in our environment, we definitely want to do that. So we've got all the right people involved. I mean, hey, it's actually a false positive, but like we're going to be taking an early PTO day, and like, I mean, nobody can get to their system, so we're just doing some good for this company. You know, everybody needs a break now and then. All right, recovery. What recovery actions would you take at this stage? Reboot and revalidate all affected boundary devices to confirm consistent application of security rules and reestablish normal traffic flows. Perform credential resets for all user accounts involved in previous attacks, enhancing credential policies to strengthen authentication security. Now, I wonder if that means like just the attack like path we were talking about in this exercise, or are we talking about like all previous attacks? Like somebody clicked on a phishing email 3 years ago, let's reset their credentials. Verify system integrity across impacted servers through a coordinated effort with security tools, addressing any latent vulnerabilities found. Like, I mean, like, we're already patching stuff, so there shouldn't be any vulnerabilities. We applied the patches. Like, we did that early on. Conduct a comprehensive post-incident analysis with detailed documentation, prepared for future security audits and system assessments, or reassess and restore segmented network zones to their intended configurations, ensuring that no residual segments remain vulnerable. I feel like this is another one where like I kind of half like ADHD zoned out. Conduct a comprehensive post-incident analysis. I don't think we're at that point yet. Like, I think like stuff is still burning, so that might be a good one. I think like restoring. See, that's the problem too, is like I'm thinking too much, and like Try Hack Me's thinking very broadly across things, and I'm just like, but what about this and what about this? Like I can't quiet my brain with some of this stuff. Perform credential resets. Like I really wish I knew what they meant by like involved in previous attacks. I also think we shouldn't be focusing on latent vulnerabilities. I feel like this is another tough one. I don't know. I feel like we haven't chose A in a while. This is what I am basing this one on now, guys. I'm like going, wow, we haven't chose A in a while. Let's go with this one. Jesus Christ. And of course I choose like the most effective one. And I disagree. That would have been another good one. I am once again very disappointed in myself. So, yeah, I should have trusted that one with conducting a comprehensive post-incident analysis. Because we're still in recovery phase, you wouldn't do that until later on. So rebooting and revalidating boundary devices is an effective recovery action to ensure the firewall rules are consistently applied and restore traffic normally. So again, this is another one where I feel like it adapted. And then, however, it may not directly address the reset of compromised credentials or the full verification of underlying system integrity, which should also be prioritized. I don't like how it says however, but then it's like the most effective. So consider combining these actions to form a comprehensive recovery strategy. So I guess we're learning what the best choice is instead of burning everything to the ground. So sorry about that one, guys. Alright, now we're on escalation. So can we go fully to the press now? What escalation is required at this stage? Engage the CISO to organize a comprehensive briefing with the executive team. That's boring. Convene an immediate incident debrief that includes the legal and compliance teams. Involve external cybersecurity consultants to provide third-party expertise. Issue an internal alert to all department advice, increase vigilance, and provide interim guidance on identifying potential follow-up threats, or prepare an executive summary for the board of directors outlining the incident details and potential industry-wide implications for a device and insight. Well, I mean, the board of directors already knows everything. Like, we told them early on. And the fact that they didn't take us seriously is how we got to this negative 70. So, I blame them on this one. I feel like the burn it down choice in this one is just issuing an internal alert, because I feel like realistically you would want to have an incident debrief. You would want the CISO to know. And honestly, you might involve external cybersecurity consultants, like that third-party incident response firm. So we're just gonna issue a memo, because honestly, it was a false positive, but also it wasn't, and the police know, and the board of directors know, and the press knows, and we're doing just fine. So we're just gonna send an alert to all departments at this point. Womp womp. Well, at least it's like still negative points. See, I didn't choose this one because we already let the board of directors know. But I guess we could have asked them for their advice and their insight. So, issuing an internal alert for increased vigilance is somewhat an effective approach, ensuring awareness across departments, but it may lack the strategic depth needed to manage confirmed data breaches. So, we want to consider prioritizing interactions that align with strategic oversight and tactical execution to address both internal scrutiny and broader organization impacts effectively. Yeah, I mean, at least we still lost points on that one. And I cannot wait until folks ask me what went wrong on my TryHackMe account, not knowing that I did this on purpose. So let's see what this report says. Yeah, we did kind of terrible. Yes, this is fine. I gotta find my picture. Where did my picture go? Oh, there it is. There it is. This is fine. So this is fine. We got a -70. We're gonna make this guy a little bit smaller. And we're gonna put him over here. Because we did fine. This is fine. So throughout the exercise, participants demonstrated adeptness in pinpointing suspicious access and activity early on, applying host-based IPS, initiating thoughtful containment strategies throughout network segmentation. However, some escalation decisions leaned either under-reporting or over-escalation, occasionally misaligning the strategic engagement with the incident severity. Recovery actions focused on technical resets and validation, but could be improved with deeper stakeholder engagement for full operational restoration. I want to be mad at how positive this is, just because we're ironically doing this learning by burning stream, but on the other hand, as a cybersecurity professional, I am very pleased at how, despite all like our chaos and a -75 score, they still are like, hey, like you still have some strong suits. You just do a lot of other stuff really, really terribly. So what's nice is we've got some action points here that we could go through, and apparently we're better at the recovery, we're really bad at the escalation, and we're nowhere with the triage. So that's cool. We got like this cool breakdown of our scores. I think I started getting lazy in the inject 3. But yeah, so that's a tabletop on our first learning by burning stream. So I really appreciate everybody joining, just as like I start to feel this out. Scattered Spider might have ran us over, but we will do far worse last time. So thank you again for joining us on Learning by Burning, and I hope you all have a great night. Oh, thank you. Good job on the negative score. Yep, that's what we were going for. All right. Take care, everyone.